What is going on, people? Got some more BT13 gameplay for you guys featuring BlackWarGrey as well as Mirage Galgamon. I think Mirage is a really strong deck. It just falls flat, I think, in the current meta game just because Shine is so dominant, and there's a lot of answers to Mirage as well. A deck like BlackWarGreymon that has bounce protection, that has big blockers that they can't really deal with. It's pretty tough. But it has been seeing really good success in the Ultimate Cups, the monocolor formats, if you've been following those. But regardless, got some gameplay for you guys. So Mirage here starting off, not the best, but they do have a Galmon with the Nikolai giving it jamming. Of course, just cycling some cards with the Wanyumon as well as the Galmon. And me playing BlackWarGreymon, you really just need to make your first stack here. I've got the BlackWarGrey as well as the RaidWarGrey in hand, so definitely got some options there, but I need either a tie or something to give it blocker. So the BlackWarGreymon X there was a really good top deck because now I get a pseudo blocker in the form of a redirect at some point when I do get my stack set up. But right now, just going to go ahead and swing into his suspended Galmon, and then just going to dig for a level 5 here, either debating on that or digivolving the Greymon there. But I think it's in this scenario, because I needed a level 5, I'm just going to give him one extra memory to work with, and then just passing turn with that. I'm not too afraid of what Galmon could do with 2 memory. Realistically, he could go like the level 3, the level 4 that bounces, plus the level 5 that bounces, clear my board. But in that case, I just get back my rookie as well as my Greymon, so I can kind of make my stacking again. However, I'm a little bit behind. The thing about BlackWarGreymon is, you see here my opponent is making their stack, but because the deck is so memory inefficient and just a little bit slow, at least with the hit of the Virus Greymon X, I'm down to 3 security. My opponent has a full stack in the back, so I need to do something. Right here, I'm going to go double Gray X and then go into the Metal Greymon. Of course, my opponent was able to play around it pretty decently by just swinging with the Galmon since I had jamming. So then I'm not going to be able to like raid into him with the Metal Greymon and get the free play tie. Not that I had the tamer anyways, but we're just going to go for the old faithful. Just going to go swing X antibody, BlackWarGrey X, and first check is going to be the Meteor Crescent Impact, bouncing the Greymon X to my hand. Of course, the BlackWarGreymon does have the bounce protection from the BT9 Greymon X. Only 1 layer though, nothing crazy. It might have been worth it just to get rid of the bounce protection on that, because then my opponent, if he does have the burst mode, could go Mirage here and then burst mode bounce. But regardless, Mirage is going to bounce. I've got a pretty decent amount of cards in my hand. My opponent is going to gain 3, rather 4 memory, 2 off the Mirage, 1 off the Gao, as well as 1 off the Nikolai. Gonna hard evolve into the Mirage Galgamon burst mode, which is definitely a little bit weird, but honestly, guys, it's not even a bad play. It's pretty strong that he gets to just force out of protection. And right there, you see if he did use the option card the prior turn, he would have been able to just clear it. But I guess it doesn't matter because he had another one in hand. So then go ahead and bounce the BlackWarGreymon X and then gain 1 for every 4 memory back in my hand. Putting me to 4 is quite strong, setting up for the hand loop the next turn. Is pretty scary. So the thing about it is, because he didn't burst evolve it, the Mirage Galgamon burst mode is just going to stay on the field. So I'm just going to have to start from scratch, make my stack, run memory boost, grab a Greymon here, and the nice thing is, because he doesn't have the BT11 Mirage active, he's not going to be able to gain memory on my turn. So there's that at least, but here Mirage is going to be able to draw and then use the effect of 1 attacking, which is shuffling up my hand, bottom decking until I have 8 in hand, and then unsuspending itself, which is not a once per turn effect. So if it does hit something like a Cool Boy or X Antibody, something that adds a effect, added card to my hand, I could have just died there. So that's another really interesting thing about the card, is it can punish you just for playing consistency cards. It's kind of a cool mechanic, but a little bit annoying to deal with. Again, nothing like absolutely crazy, but it is really strong, guys. Don't let it don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But here we're going to go into the Metal Greymon for a cost of 3, but with 0 memory to work with, no X antibody to be able to like swing, piercing, or at least like swing and clear the board and establish a blocker. I'm just going to go ahead and scoop it up. So game number 2, I'm going to go ahead and start with a pretty strong start. Agumon Cool Boy is pretty much what you want to see. Either that or like Agumon Memory Boost, both are pretty strong, but either play gets you an extra card and sets up for the following turn, gives you some extra memory. So opponent here is just going to go Galmon Thomas, and we're just going to promote. I don't really care about keeping in the back here because you go so plus off of this Agumon X Antibody Cool Boy combo that, like, okay, if he bounces my stack, I'll just do it again. Like, I'd really, it does not matter. And in fact, that's the reason I'm going to leave the Agumon X here, is because if he does bounce it, I've got that play for the following turn. So regardless, you're just going to go Cool Boy, Memory Boost, gaining a billion memory. You really want to set these up as early as possible because in the late game, it pays off. And BlackWarGrey is a deck that steamrolls a lot in the late game. You can pull some pretty clutch moments from behind. So it's really cool stuff. We're going to go Greymon here for a cost of 2, and I've got the Virus Greymon X Antibody. So usually when you draw this card, please just ban this card. Like, this card does not need to exist. I'm evolving for a cost of 1 for like absolutely no reason. Like, there's nothing about this card that is fair. Not only is it a 1 cost or a 2 cost Evo, but then you also just get a free protection off the Inherited. And right now we're just going to change up our plays a little bit and then just go into basically X Antibody, go into the BlackWarGrey Greymon X, and then play out a tie off of the Greymon when attacking, giving ourselves blocker, reboot, redirect. So 2 kind of protections as far as like our life. So being able to block, being able to redirect, and then protecting ourselves from bounce, of course, because that is pretty much what this deck does. Going to use a full Meteor Impact to force out the Greymon X protection, but that's okay because we're just going to go plus a billion memory here. Agumon X, Cool Boy, double draws, get the Metal Greymon X, sitting at 5 memory, and then we're going to gain another one if we do evolve the tie here. You're going to go X Antibody on this stack. Now, if you're wondering why I did this instead of just like making another stack because I have the BlackWarGrey X combo, I wanted to give it protection because the first stack doesn't have the Greymon X BT9 like the second stack does. So this way both of my stacks are safe if I do hit another blue option in security. So this way I can save myself from losing out to an option card just like I hit right now. These full moon meteor impacts love my opponent, dude. Like, he's seen all of them. So again, forcing out the Greymon X again, trashing his security off the Metal Greymon X, and here, you know, even if he does out the stack of BlackWarGrey X, it is still a blocker, still got the redirect. And I still have the Raid Metal Grey ready to go for the next turn. Might not have the X Antibody, but it is more than enough to be able to go for game here. And right now my opponent is going to go Mirage for 4, and then attempting to bounce back the Metal Greymon, adding a security in my hand since it wasn't bounced, gaining 2 memory, as well as unsuspending off of the Mock Agumon. And right now we're just going to misplay a little bit because we thought here that because it unsuspends, the BlackWarGrey Greymon X will proc to delete it. But since I don't have X Antibody or BlackWarGrey, it doesn't proc. But regardless, I still had lethal on the board anyways. Even if I didn't, I could have just Hades forced and killed him and checked the last security anyway. So my opponent's just going to scoop regardless of the outcome there. And opening hand here for game 3 is really, really solid. Rookie plus Searcher plus Agumon X is just pretty much all you need to see. You're going to cycle through a lot of cards in your deck. That is one thing I will say is about Greymon Toolbox or BlackWarGrey, whatever you want to call it, just because we've gotten so many waves of support. The deck is pretty consistent. Like, it does take a decent amount of time to build up, but it's pretty consistent. So here I'm going to go Agumon, search the EX1 Greymon, go Agu X, reveal top 3, search the Metal Greymon. So now I've got my full line. And it's my first turn, so we're just going to go ahead and Greymon put him to 2. Pass turns to our opponent here with double Galmon. Going to go the Galgamon, that is EX4. Yep, EX4 Galgamon is going to bounce back the Agumon X, which is a pretty solid play. Gets a rookie off the field, and I'm not going to be able to use it next turn unless I just hard play it, which I'm not going to do. Since I've got my full line, I think here I'm just going to go ahead and evolve Grey X and Metal Greymon here. But I am actually going to move out because putting my opponent to 1, because I know the deck, I know there's no way up for my opponent to punish this. If he wants to waste an option card just to force out 1 bounce protection, I'm totally okay with that. It forces my opponent to attack here because if not, I'm going to get the raid proc and potentially plat a tie. So my opponent is going to be forced to swing, and hitting into red memory boost is amazing. And then they're just going to go ahead and pass turn with the Mock Galgamon in the back, and I should be at 2 memory here. So we're just going to go X Antibody underneath the Metal Greymon, swinging into it. And again, just doing a little bit of a different play here. Initially, I'm going to go Metal Grey X, but we realize we can do a little bit of a more fancy play using the Greymon effect first to play the tie, giving ourselves plus 1000, then go X Antibody into Metal Grey X, then gaining a memory off the tie, checking 2, and hey, wouldn't you know it, another Full Moon Meteor Impact. Luckily, I do have the bounce protection, checking 2 because of the Metal Greymon X, sitting at plus 4,000, plus 7,000, 15k, and then making ourselves plus 3,000 more and gaining reboot as well. Blocking twice is pretty nice as well, and then we're just going to go ahead and set up another stack in the back. So if my opponent does out it, I can just move out, pop the memory boost, go level 5, level 6, and we should be good to go there. So right now I've got a pretty strong stack. The Mirage is not going to be able to answer it, but I am going to be able to get a card from my security. Our opponent is going to gain 2 off the Mirage. I think that's it, and then going to go into the hard burst mode once again, not seeing the Thomases really. So evolving burst mode for effectively 3, being able to you know, gain back the 2 memory for the cards in my hand. But like I said, that's totally okay because I've got the BlackWarGrey. We're going to give plus 1000 blocker to our stack here, suspending the tie plus a memory here. So we're plus 1 from the tie, 1 from the egg, 1 from Greymon, 2 from the Agumon, so that's plus 5,000, plus 3,000 from the Wargrey effect, so plus 8. So we're sitting at 20k here. Gonna raid, switch targets, unsuspend, piercing off the Metal Grey, checking 1 card, swinging again, checking the 2nd card here, and my opponent's security just absolutely cracked. But that's okay because I'm just going to set up for lethal. So if my opponent does out one of the stacks, well, that's okay. He's already gone through 2 of the option cards, so what are the chances he sees a 3rd one? But even then, if he goes like play a rookie, bounce with the EX4 Galgamon, that's totally fine because then I can raid into the stack that he plays. And unfortunately for my opponent, that's exactly what he's going to do because there's really no other option. He loses either way. If he doesn't bounce it, if he does bounce it, I still have 2 swings. So he's going to bounce it, choking me to 1. That's totally okay because I can just swing, raid into the stack with the Wargrey, unsuspend, and pierce check the last one, and then swing for a game. So guys, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.